Hi, everybody. I wanted to give you a quick example or a little tutorial. One of the problems there was a few questions on, and I believe this is question number 5. I set this up for us here. If you take a look, we know our equation assets equal liability plus equity. In this particular problem, they give you values for assets and liabilities at May 31st. And they give you values for assets and liabilities at June 30th. Following our accounting equation, we can solve for equity once we plug in those values. And on May 31st, we would get 112,000 in equity. And on June 30th, we would get 134,000. Okay, great. So that's really the first step. Then we're going to take the change. So what happened from May 31st to June 30th, really the month of June, to change equity? Well, the dollar amount of the change during the month of June was $22,000 for equity. I'm going to just focus on this number. We know equity changes for a few reasons, right? There's net income that is closed during the closing process. We haven't gotten there yet, but net income goes into equity, or net loss, or payment of dividends, right? So net income, will increase equity. Net loss will decrease the equity account. Trying to go too fast. And payment of dividends will also decrease the equity account. Just to break this down a little, we know that if there's net income, this means revenues were greater than expenses. And if there's a net loss, we know expenses were greater than revenues. Okay? So this $22,000 change is attributable to some or all of these items. So the question in part A, for example, may say to you, find net income if dividends were $5,000. Okay, so find net income if dividends were $5,000. Okay, so I know that I started with 112,000, right? Let's move this over. 112,000. I am adding or subtracting rather the $5,000 in dividends, and I'm going to be adding some number here. I have to do this, right? Some number here. Let's just center these, which represents, I'll do that in yellow again, net income or net loss. And that will have to bring me to my new value, which we know is 134,000. Okay, so 112,000 minus 5,000 gives us 107,000. Oops, I lost the screen for a second. So we know beginning equity less dividends plus net income or loss is equal to ending equity. So we plugged in this value. We solved for net income or net loss. So, set it equal to X. right? So by doing that, 112,000 minus 5,000 plus what number will yield us 134? The answer is 27,000. That's net income. Please let me know if this helps. There's other questions you will have to solve for some variable within this type of formula, or this formula really, because this is beginning equity to ending equity. Let me know if this helps both in solving the problem and in understanding what goes into equity. Okay, I'd like to hear back from you. Thanks so much.